Hi there, I'm Lisa Hounds-Rodon, CEO and founder of Sublime Fragrances LLC. And today we're talking about why perfumes should be enjoyed in a familiar environment. When it comes to evaluating whether you like a scent and to add it to your collection, the one most important careful evaluation is your skin chemistry. Your skin chemistry is the sole determining factor of if you like a fragrance, how it wears on you, how it interacts with your clothing, how in your environment the scent is interacting. To do this effectively, a private, enclosed space is ideal because your space is your space. You have decided how it is laid out. You have decided everything that is in your living room, for example, or in your kitchen, in your bedroom. You have full control over this space. What tends to happen in spaces like department stores is that there is a very specific layout that is designed to get you to buy. Have you ever noticed that when you walk into a department store, it is very similar to a maze? I find myself, when I walk around in a department store, that it is very much a disorienting experience. It can be very pleasant, absolutely, to smell many different perfumes at once. I believe that there is a much more effective way to evaluate perfume for people. When you are at home, it eliminates a lot of external factors that come into your decision buying process. So you're less impulsed by, let's say, sales associates, let's say strangers who come up to you and they're like, oh, wow, you smell amazing. That is a moment in time. And it is fleeting. They may very well be smelling the top notes of that composition. If you have just sprayed it within the first 5 minutes and someone tells you, oh, that smells really great. Okay. It is kind of your impulses. It's an extremely impulsive environment. I have always found that when I'm with my family and I am shopping with them in a department store, we always shared the same opinion. My mom, my grandma, my dad, everyone, when shopping together, and there's very pushy people. They're very pushy because there is a campaign and there is a goal and there is that shelf life and that sale, those sale numbers that they are trying to reach. Absolutely. But in the grand scheme of things, when you are thinking about purchasing a product that is meant to give you joy and that is meant to bring you an elevation of your lifestyle, you shouldn't be forced. This forceful kind of philosophy in my opinion, is extremely outdated. It's extremely outdated because we have such an influx of information on the internet. And we are smart. We are smart and we are savvy people. We no longer need to give in to temporary temptation. The comfort of your home is the ideal environment in which you can evaluate a perfume over time. Rather than reacting to an impulse in a store, you get control. You get absolute control in your decision making. So you don't have to feel under pressure or feel like you need this in this instance and then go home and realize this may not be ideal for me. It's nice and I may like it and I may kind of tinker around with it for a few weeks and then I'm going to move on. But is this perfume the right fit for you? There's a big distinction between frivolity, buying things frivolously because they look good and they feel good and they may smell very nice, and something that really hits home. I will give you an example. As myself, as a consumer, I have a collection of about, would say, 14 fragrances. In this collection, I have one absolute love to date. This is my signature scent. I just knew it. If someone asked me, Lisa, what is your signature scent? I have an answer. I am very definitive in my choices. And look, that's not to say that you can't have multiple signature scents. Maybe you like to wear something different in the day versus the night. Absolutely, you are entitled to that. But what I am introducing here and my philosophy is, let's pare down and be really distinct and really decisive about what it is that we love. Because, look, the more choices and the more objects that are, how do I say this in a way that is friendly? The more objects that get in your way of finding what is really meant for you, the more distracting it is. This is why I hate big stores. I despise Costco. Look, I'm sorry, I despise Costco. I hate going to Costco because there is literally so much merchandise. The prices are great, sure, but I am overwhelmed in that environment. I do not like so many options. I do not like taking, 2 hours to shop in a store. I hate it. And that's just me. What I'm bringing to the table here and telling you is that you do not have to live in this cycle of impulsivity. If you take the courage to take a step back and really evaluate what it is that you really love in your life, it is going to bring you so much clarity. I think in the fragrance industry, there is kind of this haze, kind of this fog. I think we reference it as the noise. And this noise is complicated. It's overly complicated because it's confusing people. It's making them think that I can't be happy with this. I gotta move on. I can't be fully immersed in this experience because it's just not good enough. Oh, this is not good enough for me. I gotta move on. And this behavior is destructive. It is absolutely destructive for the environment, for our mental health, for the joy and the peace that we are absolutely entitled to have. No one is robbing us of that joy and of that happiness other than ourselves. We do not need to create a prison, this sort of torture chamber that we find ourselves in. So this is what I mean when I say and I reference prisons. We are shackling ourselves. We are selling ourselves way too short when we give in to overconsumption. We are smarter than that. We can set goals in place. We can totally rewire our brains. This pressure that we feel in this consumption cycle is a shackle. It is weighing us down. The materialism weighs you down. I don't care what you say, okay? If you have a closet full of clothes that you have maybe worn once or twice, and they are sitting there, not getting any life or any use out of it, it is weighing you down. I'm not saying that you should do a 360 turnaround and all of a sudden be a minimalist. What I am saying is to be more strategic about your consumption. With perfume, this gets extremely tricky because it totally rides on memory. The intrinsic memory that is in your brain. Blind buying is extremely dangerous because you get used to it. Maybe you have once or twice considered on Amazon to get a new Lattafa fragrance. That is just the start. You think to yourself, okay, You know, it's a 30 bucks here, 20 bucks there, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. It's just the start. That is the comfort zone. That is the buildup. So once you purchase this $30 Latafa, your nervous system gets adapted to that threshold. And then you think to yourself, oh, well, you know, it was just 30 bucks. Maybe I can get a $50 fragrance. No big deal. You get used to it. Then you are no longer satisfied. You think, well, now I need an upgrade and I want, you know, this really nice looking House of Beau, you know, luxury fragrance. And that is a whopping $390. Right? It all has to do with your nervous system. You adapt. You have this dopamine exposure. It is satisfied. You need to move on. In replacing these triggers for what is wholesome and what truly resonates with you, not anything that is depicted in media, not, you know, people's opinions and everybody coming at you and trying to influence you, and what truly resonates. What is speaking to you? What has happened to you in your life, maybe as a child, maybe in adulthood, maybe in adolescence, that truly defines you as a person? Digital environments can be helpful for retention and for getting information about quality, about formulation, about ingredients. However, they do not evaluate the most important factor when it comes to deciding whether you like a fragrance. And that, again, is skin chemistry. A lot of times, when we find ourselves in this digital consumption cycle, we are easily dissuaded by superficial facts, like notes and reviews. Reviews are not at all indicative of whether that fragrance is going to wear well on you. Not at all. It can be the best perfume or made to seem like it's the best perfume ever created in the entire world. But does that mean that it's right for you? So, when we are looking at all of the fragrances that currently, all of the fragrances that you have to this date, what is it about the ones in your current collection that you have gravitated towards continuously? What is it about them that you really love? For me, it is an equilibrium a peaceful and harmonious balance of materials that are made in a way that is peaceful. That is what I like. You know, a very kind of, when I just know when I smell something and it makes me feel at ease, it reduces my anxiety, it brings me clarity. That is what I like. For you, this may be entirely different. The more information you collect about yourself and build that self-awareness, the more confidence you will have in your consumption. Evaluating a fragrance from home in a familiar environment allows you time to evaluate. So when you are at home and you're testing a fragrance in the morning, in the middle of the day, at night, in different environments, an office setting, work, party, whatever you find yourself in, you can take mental notes on how this fragrance is adapting to you. When you find yourself at home and you're free from the distractions, from the noise, from people coming at you and telling you what it is that you should like, you have clarity. You have absolute clarity and peace. You do not need someone to tell you to like this, because it is entirely your decision. I have been a marketer for many years. I know every trick in the book. I understand human psychology. What the marketing does is tell you a perception, a certain storyline that, look, if you buy this thing, it's gonna make you a superhero. Okay? So, this kind of message, at the end of the day, really doesn't speak to anybody. This kind of mass market appeal that we find ourselves in, we see these promotions a lot. It's got global appeal. It's meant to launch very quickly and get into the hands of many people in a quick way. And then it is soon forgotten. You soon have to move on to the next campaign and the next target, the next demographic. Whatever kind of message that is trending. It is an idea. That is all. It's an idea. It's a feeling. It's impermanent. It morphs into something else every day. But it doesn't mean that it resonates with you. I find a lot of these fragrance commercials to be quite funny. I think they're funny. You can't really decipher what the aim or what the goal is of it. It's usually very kind of benign. It tells a love story or, nothing wrong with romance, absolutely. But I think it's very archaic, this storyline. And I think we're selling ourselves short. When we blanket everything in one philosophy, and we're saying this is what the people should like because we've tested it and it's tried and true, and we have, the corporate image backing us. Is that really telling the story of now? Of this day and age? Of today, the present moment? So all of this noise is made to get you to buy. It does not mean that it is right for you. When you practice safe purchasing techniques, it reinforces your confidence in your consumption. It reduces your impulsivity, and it gives you clarity into what it is that you actually and truly love. Safe purchasing saves you headaches in the long run. I mean that both physically and mentally. Your finances, you should respect. If you respect yourself, your finances mirror that. Safe purchasing is going to give you peace. When you are out there in the fragrance world, this is my aim: to give you clarity and confidence in finding your next new love. I want to help you find your signature scent. If you are so unsure and you are freely giving your energy to different products, different brands, it is going to confuse you. I want to help you get out of this rabbit hole. So you can find what is meant for you. That is the ultimate happiness.